Yo, what's up, everybody? This is Kim Aside doing another segment of Victory Sundays. And on Victory Sundays, I like to talk about football, basketball, baseball, and even hockey. Because if you know anything about me, I love sports, and this is my opportunity to give y'all the most raw and uncut filtered version of me. And if you've been listening to me for rock lately, somebody that's been a Victory Sunday counterpart, somebody that's been part of the Victory Sundays, this topics, this is a trending topic on a continuous basis. But I'm gonna be very brief with this guy at this moment because I know he's going through a lot. But Brendan Scoresby, yes, that Brendan Scoresby. I think he's like a 4 or 5 time person on this Victory Sunday. But man, he can't just get right, man. It just seems like everything that he's doing now not going in the right direction. And that's just talking about it. The NFL pretty much they declined us to do a NFL supplemental draft. What I had talked about last week or previous topics that was an option for him. But now the NFL saying, nah, we good. We ain't gonna do a supplemental draft. Like it's just too short of a time period because they're saying like one of the reasons why because he only filed his paperwork in 3 days. They're like that we need more time, we need more investigation, and they just not really feeling the fact that he was gambling and stuff like that. And I even just got sent something recently by my people. They was pretty much saying even the Canadian Football League don't want him. So he just pretty much is running out of options, y'all. So right now his options is to sit it down and just go ahead and take his bid and just go ahead and suck it up and just be like, damn, I blew it over what $90,000 over some simple bets. But yeah, man, he pretty much blew it. Like he got to just face the consequences, man. Just get ready for the draft next year and just get himself right. But on to another topic, just because we done talked about him so many times. If you want to see more of Brandon Scoresby, me talking more about Brandon Scoresby, just go ahead and go check out some of my other videos. But on to another topic, the NCAA has approved of the 5 year for student athletes to play for 5 years only. Now, some people like they're kind of confused. They're like, all right, so this is starting when they play when they're 19. I just looked at some and I looked at some of the finer details and just listened to other podcasts. So pretty much what it consists of is it starts so that student athlete. I don't know, we still call them student athletes, but it starts at pretty much a student athlete freshman calendar year. So it doesn't really necessarily start at 19, but that's just like the ideal age. Like when you think about it, like when you're 19, most typical people will either go to college or they graduate from high school going to college, or they just figuring it out. But yeah, that's pretty much like how it goes, y'all. So you can be 18 years old and your 5 year stint starts right there. Some ways waivers around that is just because some people I'm pretty sure they even more confused about this too as well. But some of the things that I read and then seen on other podcasts. So like if a young lady is pregnant, then she could get pregnancy leave and she could get extra years. If you've been in the military, you could get it extended. And also like if you've been on like a religion mission, like a lot of players from like Utah, particularly like BYU and them, like sometimes they come in to like BYU or Utah and them schools like that up in the mountains. They're doing missionary stuff. They usually come in like later on, like they probably like 2021 or something like that, and they start their college careers. But yeah, that's pretty much like how they could pretty much like bend the rules a little bit. Now I know there's been some controversy just behind like because I've seen on a podcast before, like where they said like like players are not allowed to get extensions like even if they're injured. Now, to me personally, I kind of agree with the NCAA just because, like, man, you done seen it too many times, bro. Like, where a lot of players, like, they're bending the rules and saying, like, I've been hurt this amount of year, I've been hurt, and I tore my ACL, did this, I did that. And they like been playing for like 6 or 7 years. At a certain point, man, you gotta give it a quit, dog. Like if you love ball that much, or you love sports that much, man, go ahead and play in the semi-pros or some shit, man. Or just try to find a lower league that's playing that is with grown adults, not with some dang on college kids just because you're trying to get a quick bag. That's just my personal opinion. And like also, my other opinion is just like, man, like when you bend the rules so much, eventually, like somebody's gonna find some. Eventually, like the higher ups are gonna pretty much is gonna hold stir, and then they're gonna make some rules where you can't bend them. And so that's just my personal opinion about all of that. But on to the last topic. I just want to talk about the NBA because the NBA had a lot going on this past week, y'all. Like so much going on. So I just want to get my insights on like some winners and losers in the draft, and then also my my this my feelings towards some of the big time trades. Like I said, winners and losers of the draft. Two winners, I just say first, Darren Peterson. He got drafted to Utah. Utah has always been a pretty solid organization. They ran by Danny Ainge, who picked up the big three, who went to win the championship for Boston. So you got a pretty solid GM. You got pretty solid players. Lauren Marketing, JJ. I think I forgot the center name, but yeah, they got done. And then they also got that other guard, George. So they already got a pretty solid foundation. So he's gonna go into like pretty much almost not necessarily a win now culture, but a culture where he don't have to necessarily be the guy right then and there, and he could just pretty much just play his game and just learn from his mistakes. Just because like Utah still haven't made it to the playoffs in a while, but still like they still had the talent to make it to the playoffs. Another winner, hate to say it, the rich get richer. Uh, OKC and the Spurs, man, they picked up size. Pause. But yeah, like I said, they both picked up draft two big men apiece, and then like by them two of them pretty much going up against one another. Both of them teams got 7 footers and stuff, and in the case of Spurs, they got a 7'5" guy. So like you need size just to compete with that. So like they done a good job of just picking up younger guys who could pretty much bang in the post with them guys like the Wimbies and the Chet Holmgrens who we haven't talked about, but yeah, that's my opinion. But yeah, but also losers, y'all. My first loser. Now this guy I actually am a fan of. Darius Acuff, man. Damn, bro. He got drafted to the Kings. I'm not a fan of the Kings, man, because like I seen on the Arenas podcast, like there's been a lot of guards and stuff like that. They go on to the Kings and then they end up leaving. So I don't know how long term it would be for him to be for the Kings, just because it's just not a good place for superstars to go to, man. And like I said, I'm a huge fan of Darius Acuff, just because I seen him at the Iverson Classic. Pure dog. I think he won the MVP in that game, and ever since then I was hooked. Pause. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's just just a loser. Another loser, I think the Mavs. I think like particularly just because like they drafted the guy that the head coach who played for them, and we don't know how he's gonna fit because they saying he's a developmental piece, so it's gonna take him some time. Which I do think the Mavs do have time, just because they on Cooper Flag's time, but still at the end of the day, still gotta develop that guy. But like I said, trades. We've been living up with Rock lately. Giannis got traded to the Heat. LaMelo Ball got traded to the Timberwolves, and and Randall got traded to the goddamn Nets. He's the biggest loser because he gotta go to the Nets, and all he's gonna do is get the ball in his hand. Pause. But my thoughts on that was my thoughts on that. But my thoughts on the Giannis trade, I think they're a year or two away. Like they got a lot of pieces they gotta still pick up. They need some shooting, they need some ball handling, they need some pieces. That's because like they're gonna be a hell of a defensive team right now this upcoming year. They still got I forgot what they got. I forgot what they got, but yeah, they still got some good defensive pieces on their team. They got damn, I can't I'm drawing a blank. Yeah, shit, fuck it, I don't care. But yeah, they got some good defensive pieces. LaMelo Ball getting traded to the Timberwolves. Man, I think it's gonna be a hell of a backcourt. It's gonna be hella entertaining. I think Minnesota's gonna sell tickets. But do I believe they're gonna win the championship? I don't know, man. Because like I said, they got rid of their size. They actually traded away Nas Reed too as well. So it's just that like in the West, you got to be physical. Just like I just said, like OKC and the Spurs picked up two more big men, and like you traded away two of your big men with Nas Reed and Randall. So it's just like, do we know how good are they gonna be physically? Just because like at the end of the day, like basketball is not it might be a finesse sport, but you still gotta have some dominant paint presence when it comes to like the playoffs. Because just because like the game becomes more of a half court game and it gets more physical. And so this is my feelings towards all the trades and all the things that have been going on in the NBA, this college football, Brandon Sorsby, of course, but all my just ideas and things that's going on. And with all that is being said, this is Kim Sykes, and I'm out this bitch.